Welcome to Voting Arena on Landslide News. Today, we're looking at the Tinubu administration in different areas. Security, employment, and other areas that we think that they should focus on. So on the studio, we have my brother, my friend, Godwin Onu.
Honor.
He's a lecturer at Army University in Biu. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And I also have my colleague on the studio, always looking radiant, Nigeria-ish. Okafor, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
18 months down the line, the effect of the Tinubu administration on us, areas we want him to look at. You see, sometimes governance is not that easy as we think it is. But we also know that there are areas we should look at. And that's why we call it voting arena. The people voted for you. And the reason they voted for you is because they're expectant that as they vote for you, you should do something with the vote that they have given you. What do you think?
Yes. You see, there's what they call social contrast theory.
Okay.
It is a kind of agreement between the state and the citizens.
Yeah.
So I'm making this statement in reference to the voting arena you talked about.
Yeah.
So May 20, the election that was conducted sometime last year, May 2023 now, yeah. May 29, 2024.
Yeah.
2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office. And by taking over office, he has entered that agreement with Nigerians that surrender your right to me, and I will provide and facilitate all your basic needs. That is the agreement. Now, the point is, yes, Nigerians are on their own part. They have fulfilled that civil obligation.
Right, yeah.
On the part of the president, we are going to talk about security, employment, and economy. Should we start with security, or what do we start with? So that
let's start with security.
Let's start. Okay. Yes. One of the greatest challenges that has faced Nigeria as a nation after the Nigerian Civil War is the Boko Haram terrorist group that started sometime in 2009. In far north Bruno. It was Bruno issue. From Bruno issue, it became northeast, Nigeria. It became a Lake Chad basin issue. That is Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. And from there, it metamorphosed into a West African issue, where you even have the group they call ISWAP. Yeah? So, from that time to this moment, it has been a very great challenge, a 21st century, what we call a fourth generation warfare. That is insurgency warfare. You know, it is not a conventional warfare where a conventional army versus a conventional army. So, fourth generation warfare is actually a very challenging warfare that even the United States of America have also find it extremely difficult to overcome. But back home to Nigeria, we are talking about Tinubu administration. When Tinubu came in, his appointment of service chief were very commendable because the late chief of army staff, Tauriq Lagbaja, very committed officer who had, experience in both North Central, Northeast, Northwest, and so many operational areas. As you know, today in Nigeria, the 6 geopolitical zones, the military are undertaking operation in 5 of the 6 geopolitical zones. Actively. Except Southwest that is not very active. But the remaining areas, very active. So the security situation in Nigeria in the last 18 months is a kind of mixed security situation. There have been areas where there have been improvement and new areas have been given better. For instance, the Rukarawa terrorists in the northwest. It's a new thing. That is in the place like Sokoto and Kebbi State that border Niger. It's a new security threat. We have been battling with bandits from pastoralists, that is headers.
Yes.
In conflict, we call them pastoralists. We've been battling with them from the north central to northeast to northwest to southeast to, in fact, in all regions of Nigeria, the pastoralists and crop producers crisis have been on for a very long time. And then the issue of bandit, you can remember that it just in the last few months that Kaduna Abuja Expressway
became a little bit,
a little bit because of the defense operation. Defense has actually taken over the operation along that axis, and that's why if you are traveling at every very little kilometer, you saw a military station where they even build, a borehole and some other facility to make them a little bit comfortable. But as there have been improvement, there have also been a new resurgence in some areas. Boko Haram, I have had the opportunity over the last 6 years to interact with soldiers who have been directly involved in combating the security situations in Nigeria. And one thing I have learned and took from those people, because I like, if you want to get fat, interact with the soldiers.
People in the field.
Not the officers.
Yes.
The soldiers will tell you the truth. One of the greatest challenge to the soldiers is what they call in the military administration of soldiers. The ordinary person will call it the soldiers' welfare. I want you to understand today that no matter the equipment you procure,
Yes.
the most senior officers is not going to use that equipment.
Yeah, they are the soldiers.
It's the soldiers that will use the equipment. A soldier can make or destroy a career of a senior officer. A soldier can decide to tell an officer that this vehicle, this armor tank cannot work. He can remove something that the officer does not know anything about. But when an officer as a commander, if the administration, the welfare of your soldiers are in order and they are happy with you, you will keep recording success and success and success. So we have, if you recall, about you remember the budget, the national budget of 2024, how much was budgeted for defense. Now, it is not about what has been budgeted for defense. It is about how much was released after the approval of the budget. And what was released, who were those responsible, what were those things we needed, who were those responsible for purchasing those items, how were they used? These are some of the areas. And then we usually climb tree from the top in Nigeria. We don't climb as a natural law from the bottom. I say this in the sense that most ways that we have approached our security and conflict situation in Nigeria over the years has been what we call suppression. You suppress the situation. It's like, let me assume this is half a liter of water. The container will contain half a liter, and you are putting in 1 liter just because it's expanding.
Yeah.
It will get to a stage, it will blow up.
Yeah.
And that is how our approach have been. Take, for example, the wrong approach that was adopted by the Buhari administration in Southeast. That's what has degenerated the IPOB, the Eastern Security Network, and so on and so forth, to the situation we have at hand today. So whenever we are challenged, we are faced with security challenge, the first approach should be, why this challenge in the first place?
Okay, so before you go to that place, there's something you talked about.
Okay.
He said, in the military you have the men and officers.
Yes.
And the people that prosecute the war are the men, of course, with the supervision of the officers.
Yes.
What-
Both the officers and the men
Yes.
prosecute the war.
Yes.
The officers are there for the purpose of command.
Yes.
And they are also there for the purpose of, designing the operation
Yeah.
and giving directive to the
To the
soldiers
men.
and some of the young officers to go. So their relationship is,
Symbiotic.
Yes, it's
So
symbiotic.
one of the
relation.
things that you talked about is the welfare,
Yes.
that it should be looked into critically.
Yes. Until recently, a private soldier take home was 52,000 naira. Until recently, this new minimum wage, when implemented, as it stands today, I cannot give you specific amount they are paid. Take, for example, you are a soldier in war front. You are 52,000 naira cannot feed your family back home. I will give you an example. Just 2 months ago, I was traveling from Brno to Abuja. In the evening, when I left my house, I entered tricycle with one soldier who is a staff sergeant. Staff sergeant is somebody, he had spent 23 years in service as at that time. He was taking his wife's sewing machine to the market to sell so he could feed his family. And it was a week after he had taken his salary of 95,000 naira. So tell me, do you think such a person can concentrate in war front where he knew that his 3 children and wife at home are not well fed? This is one area.
All right. I would like you to ask.
Yeah, so you talked about welfare and how whatever equipment you bring, is the soldiers that are going to operate those equipments.
Largely.
Yeah. Now, do you think in our warfare so far that our soldiers have faced issues of not having sufficient equipment to match the enemy? Because CDS mentioned issues of taking advantage of local production just a few weeks ago.
Yes, CDS is a highly experienced person in the ongoing operations in Nigeria because he was in Northeast as theater commander.
Exactly.
And kudos to him, he was very successful during his tenure.
Yes.
Rescue a large number of some of those Chibok girls that were taken into for team. Now, equipment in today's warfare, it is not about the technology is playing a huge role in today's warfare. You remember in Damboa local government, there is a place they call so if I remember, I will tell you. In one of the operational bases there recently, soldiers, the base was attacked by Boko Haram using drone.
Yes.
And that attack, we lost equipment, I believe, and some soldiers to that attack.
Yes.
Now, it should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around, exactly.
It should be the other way around. How could Boko Haram, these were some of the questions, like as you rightly said,
Yes.
the CDS asked recently. How could Boko Haram get the fund to procure some of those items? Although the Nigerian army or defense they have also been, in some area, have also been using same equipment, but we believe that no territory of Nigeria should be left ungoverned.
Exactly.
We should not allow any safe haven for any irregular group to occupy. And once you do that, it means you are giving them ground from where they will launch, they will use it as a launch pad to attack either the military or innocent civilians. So in the areas of equipment, I think we need more, not just equipment. Some of this equipment, the personnel that are to use it need to be adequately trained to use it.
All right. So training, welfare of the soldiers,
Yes.
training
Very, very
of the
important.
soldiers, and you talked about the northeast where I didn't allow. The southeast where I didn't allow you. We should also look at the basis of the problem. Where is this? What is the interpretation? How did it come about so that they can be addressed very well?
The issue of the southeast issue is like a baby crying for attention. That's why I said it was President Muhammadu Buhari who, in my opinion, mismanaged that issue, and it degenerated into what we have today. Now, I read on the news one post the other day that the son of the current president had a kind of arrangement with some of the Southeasterners that if there was no trouble during the election, the father was going, if he win, he was going to release him. And
but that's an alleged.
But yes, that's what I said. So whether that is true or not, that issue in Southeast is more or less a political issue and should be addressed politically. Well, okay, that's why I, as a person, I refuse to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the election because people like Wike talked about justice, equity, fairness. If you want to talk about justice, equity, fairness, even in the coming election and the immediate past, the presidency should have been microzoned to the southeast.
Okay, I will stop you right there. We'll be right back on news on a voting arena very, very soon. Welcome back to Voting Arena. A lot of insights and knowledge to get from our guests on security, from the northeast to the southeast, and all about security. New operations or new terrorist organizations springing up, and how the federal government have been able to manage it. The army too rising up to the challenges. Well, we're all in this country. Now let's look at we will tag it together, the economy and youth employment.
Okay.
The people that drive the economy is youths.
Yes.
Because they have the strength and the wherewithal to do that. How have we fared?
Unfortunately, the majority, in fact, about 90% of the Nigerian young people have been unemployed. The government keeps saying, go into private practice, acquire knowledge. All of these, you cannot do any of them without finance. Now, our economic challenge in the last 18 months started on the very day of Tinubu's presidency, where he announced his unplanned subsidy removal. Subsidy is a chain that the oil sector is the navigator of the Nigerian economy. Remember that oil accounted for almost 90% of our foreign exchange earning. And agriculture accounted for majority of our, domestic employment and so on and so forth. Now, from that day, a young person who is operating a barbing salon before, majority of them will no longer, continue. Somebody who is into business like printing will no longer sustain that process. He could no longer pay salary to his workers. He need to lay them off, buying fuel to run because we normally don't have light, and so on and so forth. So economy and unemployment, the unemployment rate. Before I sat here about 3 minutes ago, I saw on the news that Nigerian inflation has risen to 34.8% by the Bureau of Statistics. I just saw it on their site. So the economy, I will not say, there is no direction as far as I'm concerned. And as far as indices that are available, indicators, as far as they are concerned, there is no direction, because I will ask a question. 95% of Nigerians, their life was better off 2 years ago than it is now.
Okay, so
you have something to say?
Yes, I was looking at that youth unemployment. They are telling the youth to go start up your business, go and do something on your own. Don't rely on government. But government, do they have any stock of capital? Because there's nothing you can do with that business or without capital or training. Do they have any training? We have something in during Jonathan time, Shopee or something.
Yeah,
Shopee.
Yeah, even Buhari, as bad as it was, there was something they had, like
Yes.
they replaced something like Shopee.
Yes, nicer.
Nice or something,
look,
yes.
yeah.
This government, do they have any training program for the whole, not the one they will give to party agents for next election? We're talking about for the entire Nigerian youth. And do they have a kind of venture capital with zero interest rate, or even though there's some interest rate with a long-term moratorium? Is there anything like that?
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, they have something like that. But here is the point. Just like you say, some of those things that are made available are distributed to party agencies. They are not made for the purpose, they are not distributed for the purpose upon which they design it. But the issue is, if you want an individual, young person to start up as a private person, create the enabling environment, put the infrastructures in place. If I have 2 million naira now and I'm able to buy clipper, buy mirror, and some other barbing salon equipment, but I have no light, what do? I cannot go anywhere. Or I cannot afford to buy generator. And when I buy the generator, how much fuel am I going to use for the day? And what will be my gain? Here are some of the things. And then maybe I want to go into agriculture as a young person. Do you know what it takes to feed, if you want to go into livestock farming? What it takes now to buy chicken feed.
And even our farms are still not secured. I didn't want us to go back to
I will go there. No, they are all encompassing because one lead to another.
Yes.
In most of the region, in northern region where farm is their predominant occupation, they cannot go farm.
Even
go
in
to
south,
farm.
some
southern state, and even when they go, he said, I'm from Benue, so you know what we have gone through in the last 7, 8, 9 years in the hands of pastoralists in Nigeria. And so it is a discouraging factor. The first thing first, security. Secure the nation internally and against any external forces. Then the people can have confidence to enter where they need to enter and do what they need to do. But without security, you cannot do anything. And then without putting proper policy in place, our economy will not go anywhere. So if you say youth unemployment, it is, I think this is the highest we have had in living memory.
Let me dash this in before it gets back to him. Do you think this youth moving abroad is a solution to Nigerians' youth unemployment?
It is and it is not. For the individual, it is.
Yeah.
But for the nation, it is not. Because it is our best brains that are moving. Do you know that I recently escorted a friend to this medical and dental association in somewhere in Jabi here, where they are near Lukuguma, where their board is. And when I got the statistics of how many young Nigerian health workers, this include doctors and nurses and medical scientists, that have left Nigeria for Canada, UK, and Britain in the last 6 years, I almost shed tears. Among these are my cousins and friends. You understand? That have left this country. Now, in some of them, just within period of 2 years, they have achieved what professors who taught them and who have been in the university system or medical system for 20 years could not achieve. So as an individual, if it were you, what will you do? But as a system, as a nation, if we are losing our best brain, I told my friend that one of the reasons that the responsible for the problem in networking in the banking sector is the fact that most of the good guys who were in the ICT bank, they have left.
Yes.
And so that's why we are where we are. So the greener pasture they are seeking is for their own good, but it's not in the best interest of Nigeria. And is the nation, is Nigeria as a nation doing anything to halt that process? No.
Okay, so what should we do?
What we should do, number one, sincerity of purpose is the first thing. It's not about coming to TV or, radio as a leader and announce, speak plenty English. No, it's about outlining what you have the resources to implement and sincerely implement those processes. Okay, tell me, in the last 8 years, in the last 9 years, show me, apart from State House Clinic that was modernized, which health facilities? How many? Where is the manpower? Where are the equipment? Even if you build just ordinary structure without equipment, it's empty.
We had the senior special assistant to the president on media, Honorable Aliu Audu, on this program, Voting Arena, and he told us something. He said they launched a particular program on agric yesterday. They are bringing a lot of equipment, tractors, harvesters,
from
seedlings from Belarus.
Yeah.
He said before the middle of this year, he said there will be a lot of changes. He said on power, he said they've unbundled the power sector.
On paper.
Yes, but they are also trying to create an access where these stakeholders can get finances from, to power this.
Let me tell you something. I'm waiting for the day that the Nigerian rulers, because I don't think they are leader, that Nigerian rulers will sacrifice for the Nigerian masses, as against Nigerian masses sacrificing for the Nigerian rulers.
He still also told us what you said now, that if you give a man a job to do, give him the instruments to do it. And those instruments are majorly logistics, vehicles, good place to live, so that they will think right, act right, do things right.
First and foremost, 10,000 tractors I saw on the news they are bringing in. They are bringing in after 18 months. That 10,000 tractors is not inside Abuja they are going to farm. It is somewhere in Tarata Mafara.
Yes.
It is in somewhere in Kaurana Moda. It is somewhere in Gada, in Sokoto State or Ilela.
Yes.
It is somewhere in Arugungu in Kebbi State.
Yeah.
The question is, how secure
Or Bunza.
are those places? That's the first thing. How secure are those places? The first thing first, like I say, let the Nigerian territory be secure. Without security, nothing economic, whether agriculture or whatever you want to do, that will take place. And again, I want, no matter what you do, the effect of that subsidy removal that was pronounced by the president on his first day of office should be revisited. If you recall, last week or so, the Minister of Finance was approached by the National Assembly to give them an update on the money gained from the removal of subsidy so far. The minister said he will prefer a closed door meeting with the National Assembly members. The subsidy was removed in the open. They removed it in the open.
Yeah.
It was at the Eagle Square.
Square.
Now, just give us update now that even though we know that they did not remove any subsidy, because they are still paying subsidy, of which they have admitted. Daniel Bwala, one of the spokespersons of the president, admitted that yes, they are paying, but not as it
used to be.
As it used to be. Okay, if that policy is not revisited, everything in Nigeria tied to that system, even the economy we are talking about. Are you feeding yourself better than you were feeding yourself 2 years ago?
No, they said, they gave an example that if you want to make a surgery, you got to cause some damage first.
Yes.
Before the person recovers.
So the damage, if you want to do surgery, the damage, to minimize the effect of that damage, that's why you are giving painkillers. Yes. That's why you are assessed for days, for weeks, to ensure that your organs you are ready for that surgery.
But Asuwaju has been, he has been wanting to be president for a very long time.
Buhari wanted to be president since 2003. Eventually, he became president in 2015 to 2023. Yes. And the outcome, your guess is as good as mine.
But a lot of people are missing Buhari. Do you think we are right?
Okay, I will stop both of you there. So this is what we do on Voting Arena. Bring in everything to the table and look at it the way it should be. Every side, all sides. Don't forget, the real people are the Nigerians that feel the impact of this governance, whether from anybody, and how democracy ought to also run. We'll be back sometime again. It's not, we can't say everything here. Yeah. A lot of things on Okafor's mouth, a lot of things on your mind, but we will sure be back. Thank you.